Welcome to Latte with a Lawyer, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the stories of some of America's most successful lawyers, figuring out what makes them tick, how they creatively solve problems, and how others aspiring to be them can follow in their footsteps.
Okay, folks, welcome to another episode of Latte with a Lawyer. I'm your host, Jonathan Brickman, and still this morning, we got with us Tim Hansen from the law firm of Hansen Reynolds in Milwaukee. Nice to meet you, Tim.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, good stuff. So it's still morning. Are you still drinking coffee? What's your morning beverage of choice?
I am a straight black coffee in the morning guy, and I'm pretty crispy right now. I'm fully caffeinated. I actually pivoted to water for the podcast, so I don't want to talk. So I was like, being a court reporter, I don't want to talk so fast. People can't understand what's happening.
Got it. Yeah, I think we get more black coffee than lattes for sure, even though it's a good name, but not many people drinking a latte.
Yeah. Well, my wife is she gets the $17 coffees with lattes and foams and whatnot, and I'm like, I'll just have black coffee. It's fine.
That's right there. It sort of captures the difference between men and women. Left alone, we would just be eating English muffins with peanut butter on it.
Oh yeah, I would be, in my underwear watching TV covered in potato chips. It's I've been civilized by my wife for sure.
Isn't that true? It's so true. Oh my God. Anyway, yeah. So tell everybody about the type of law practice you have.
Yeah, so Hansen Reynolds, litigation only law firm. I should say litigation focused, I suppose. We do a few other things, but primarily it's a barrister model. We go to court, right?
Yep.
We started out in 2011. My partner and I, Toby Reynolds, we left a big regional firm here in Milwaukee called Michael Best. Great firm, continues to be a great firm. No problems with it. Just wanted to scratch the entrepreneurial itch,
Yep.
And so we started out with a couple of lawyers. We had no cases, no clients. We didn't take anything with us. We just literally hung a shingle. And now we've got 27 lawyers in 4 offices: Minneapolis, Chicago, Madison, and then the mothership, Milwaukee. All litigators, a lot of former big firm folks. I think I'm probably not qualified to get hired at my own firm anymore, because we just have been, I think at the time we did it, it was kind of the tail end of the recession from 08. There were a lot of lawyers either laid off or thinking they're going to get laid off, looking to move. So it was an interesting time to have a talent pool that we could actually attract.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we do.
Excellent. Well, that sounds like quite a success story. What when you say litigation, so give me more color on that. Like what kind of cases you work on?
Yeah, so we sort of say if you took the litigation practice of any good size, full service firm, you just pulled that litigation practice out and put it in kind of hip vibey offices in the cool part of town as opposed to the high rent downtown stuff. That's kind of what we are. So I focus primarily on business litigation. My partner Toby focuses primarily on patent litigation.
Okay.
So we do, pretty high end stuff, companies fighting companies and that sort of thing. But one tweak to what we were doing at our old practice at the bigger firm was, we are now in a position where we can take some risk-based cases. We can take some alternative fee and some contingency fee risk with clients that, big firms sometimes do it. There are a couple of real notable exceptions that do it a lot,
but for sure,
usually it's an exception and it has to be a pretty special situation.
Yep.
So, and really, those lottery tickets have paid off well for us. The hourly stuff is great. We'll always take your money,
pay the bills.
It's funny. We thought another thing at the time too, when we were starting the firm, alternative fees were all the rage. That was, everybody was talking about it. Coming out of the recession again, clients are like, we're tired of paying, $400 an hour for a first year to teach them how to be a lawyer at our expense, and law firms have to get alternative fee focused. We're like, well, this is great. We're in a perfect position to do it. Alternative fees, at a traditional big firm with high expense, high overhead, tougher for them to do it. we'll kill it. And clients, we always offer it, we always talk about it, and it's amazing when you start drilling into the details of it. It's almost like the clients are suspicious. There's something that it's too good to be true. You know what? We're just going to pay you by the hour. We'll show you, you clever lawyers. We're not going to take your alternative fee. We'll pay by the hour, because I think that you know, there's a for a lot of clients, they think that there's something, you know, hinky about the alternative fees. It seems like, you know, why would a lawyer or a law firm want to take less than what they can kind of maximize their ability to get?
Yeah, that's it. That's interesting. So again, I assume that you're on the plaintiff side when you're doing alternative fees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the most part. I mean, it's harder to structure those on the defense side.
Yeah.
You know, there's no prize at the end of the day. We
Right.
certainly have done, you know, like monthly flat fees and things like that on the defense side. That's one model that seems to work. You know, because it's harder to build in a success fee, because, you know, sometimes on the defense side, losing well is a winning strategy.
Sure.
Losing slowly sometimes is what you got to do.
Exactly.
You know, sure, if you zero them out at trial, that's a huge win. But you know, what does a success look like other than that? You know,
Yeah.
short of a zero, what will a client view as a successful outcome in litigation?
Yeah, it's interesting that people would be adverse to that, because I mean, it's kind of like with, you know, a wealth management company. I mean, you don't want them to get paid on asset under management, right? You want them to get paid on performance.
Right.
I would
right.
think, you know, the client would want the same thing. If you're successful, fine, I'll pay you. Otherwise, nothing.
Yeah, yeah. It's you know, it's just, I think it's harder, you know, because of especially with complex commercial litigation, which is mostly what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
You know, it is kind of, and sometimes multi-party, and it's sort of difficult to say, okay, hey, Tim, if you can make this happen on the defense side, that'll be worth X to us,
Right.
you know, and then how do you price that? I mean, we've done it for sure, and it's all bespoke stuff. I just think sometimes it's just easier for the client to say, you know, just let's just start out hourly and see where it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, we've definitely
yeah.
had good success with alternative fees, defense and plaintiff side. I was just surprised at you know, we thought it was what everybody was going to want,
Mm.
and they would have some of their own ideas about how they wanted to structure and price some of these things. And it was not quite as a robust an experience in the alternative fee world as we may have thought. It ended up, that's fine with us too. Like I said, we'll always
Yeah.
take money. But the real big needle movers have been the risk-based plaintiff side cases.
So what's the mix of the firm now, plaintiff defense?
It's probably 40% plaintiff and 60% defense. But of the 40% plaintiff work, not all of it is contingency fee.
Oh, not all of it's contingency. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, because we'll get hired, you know, for like patent litigation.
Oh, well,
It's
patent,
almost
yeah.
who shoots
Sure.
first, you know. It's not,
Yeah.
not,
That makes
but
sense.
it's
But I
playing
mean,
for a defendant, you know.
but I've seen some personal injury stuff. It looks like you've done. I was looking at some of your experience. So you've worked on some personal injury and
Mhm.
other cases. I mean, it looks like fraud cases as well. Some pretty big outcomes there.
Yeah, we've had really good luck with shareholder stuff, with minority shareholder oppression cases, fraud, investment fraud, that kind of thing, you know, because those cases are complicated.
Yeah.
You need a business litigator really to understand, you know, some of the financial transactions and, you know, fiduciary duty issues, and, you know, really drilling into complicated commercial contracts and deal paperwork and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's right in our wheelhouse. And we defended those cases too, but it's pretty fun to big game hunt on those cases where,
Sure.
you know, the damages tend to be pretty high. The defendants tend to have enough liquidity and recoverability that it's, you know, makes economic sense for the firm to do it. And oftentimes the aggrieved party, you know, has some financial wherewithal to at least participate, you know, have some skin in the game.
Yep.
You know, it's one thing for a lawyer to put their time at risk. It's another thing for the lawyer to put their time and their money at risk, especially on a small portfolio of cases. I mean, if you have 100 personal injury cases, that's easy, right? The numbers game works. You're going to lose a little bit. You're going to spend. You're going to have some expenses, but when you're talking about complicated shareholder cases where you hire an economist for $1,500 an hour, you're really laying out, a lot of cheddar, a lot of cheddar.
Do you ever use litigation financing for those?
Yeah, actually, we have one case now that's financed, and that was another one. Like, it was shortly after we started the firm where that market really started to flourish and now it's really crazy. I mean, we went down to Chicago to meet the guys when Longford Capital just started in Chicago, and it was just two former lawyers. I mean, I think they didn't even have an office. We met in a coffee shop. And they're like, yeah, here's how it works. I'm like, you people are insane. That's the craziest concept I've ever heard of, a non-recourse loan. But it really got my juices flowing. I was very intrigued by it, and we've flirted with it a few times. We've closed on a transaction or two with them a few times. It's just such a unicorn case. I mean, there's really two avenues, and I think that they like to have a portfolio of cases that are cross-collateralized so that they can spread their risk around.
Yep.
So trying to do a one-off case is a challenge because the damages have to be astronomical for the economics to make sense, because the multiplier on the return for them, I mean, and I get it, it's loan shark money, but if they lose, they're just gone. That money's gone. The experts keep it.
It's an interesting business. I gotta say, you're the first person. I ask that question often, and there's kind of a stigma attached to it, I think. It seems like it anyway.
Yeah. Well, because I think the industry, cropped up, I'm not sure how long ago, but I would say at least 30 years ago, when they were buying personal injury claims for pennies on the dollar, because these, poor injured people have, they're out of money.
Yeah.
And they're out of work oftentimes, and they've got medical bills, and these guys come and say, well, it's probably, your claim's probably worth $100,000, but that could take 2 years and you might lose. And why don't we give you 10 grand for it right now, cash up front? And so, that was, I think, where the seedy underbelly of the industry, it really originated from that kind of lending. My understanding.
Sure.
Expert, but I don't want to offend anybody.
Well, that's a little different.
Capital.
That pre-settlement funding is a little bit different. The litigation where they're like legitimately underwriting the case.
Yes. Yeah.
And they take it, it's specialty financing, really, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually ex-lawyers, right? So they know what they're doing. Yep.
Yeah.
It's real interesting.
Yeah. Oh, it is. I mean, and they have former Supreme Court clerks vetting the cases. They've got, super sophisticated venture capital type folks. I mean, it's a really sophisticated operation. But I think the stigma part of it, though, comes from just the origins of the industry, where people hear litigation finance, they immediately think, oh, it's a pre-settlement purchase of a claim, and maybe that's where it started, but that's not where it is now.
Yeah, it's totally different business now.
These guys are legit players. I mean, I think a couple of them are even publicly traded in the UK. I think Burford is a public company on the UK exchange. I think Bentham in Australia might have
they're crowd-funded products now. You can go on platforms like Yale Street, and you can invest in these platforms now.
Yeah, and they'll do. A lot of them have, like Longford. I think they actually have a fund, and they close the fund and then they start lending from it. But I think it's maybe Lex Shares, some of these other outfits.
Yeah,
those are crowd-funded operations. It's an interesting industry. But again, I think unless you have a very significant portfolio of cases, or a good handful of really potentially lucrative cases, then the money gets a little cheaper and they're a lot happier to start doing those deals. It's almost law firm financing in a sense at that point. But finding that unicorn case where the damages are through the roof, the defendant has tons of money to pay a judgment, and it's a kick-ass case. I mean, it's got to be, the liability's got to be, you can't have big damages without big liability. So it is interesting, and I'd like to do more of it, but you gotta have a pretty fortuitous set of circumstances.
Okay, good. So just back it up a little bit. So tell me how you became a lawyer. How'd you get started? What was that journey like?
Yeah, I graduated from high school in '89 in Iowa City, and
Are you from Iowa?
I actually grew up in California. I was born and raised in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
We had family in Iowa City that had lobbied us forever to move to Iowa City, and so after my sophomore year of high school, we moved to Iowa City, and
Wow, big change. That's a big change.
huge change. It was really good though. I have two younger brothers, and we actually could afford to buy a house, and you could walk all the way around the house, which is the first time in our lives that me and my brothers had ever walked around a home. San Francisco is all these flats, smashed up next to each other. And I love both cities. I mean, whenever I go back to San Francisco, and as soon as you step off the plane, there's something about the air and just it's home.
Oh yeah.
But Iowa City was great for us, and a wonderful city. It's a small college town that's doing real well. But yeah, graduated high school there in '89, and then I was just a terrible student. I mean, in and out of college, dropping classes, not taking it seriously at all. And then finally, I was a waiter, and I was throwing bags of garbage out at the end of the night, and one of the bags split, and you get somebody else's 6-hour-old eggs on you. And I'm like, you know what, F this. So hunkered down, back to undergrad, took it real seriously, graduated from undergrad in '99 with a history degree and poli-sci degree. And I'm like, well, now what?
Where'd you go to school? Where'd you go to college?
So that was University of Iowa.
Oh, University of Iowa. Okay.
Hawkeyes. So I went, and then I'm like, well, I have student loans now. I'm like, I'm not going to be what do you do with a Bachelor of Arts in history? Like there's, limited options. So I'm like, well, lawyers seem to make money. I'll go to law school.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, that was the extent of my thinking. I didn't know any lawyers. No one in my family had even graduated from college, let alone gone to law school.
Oh, really? You're first generation college too?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. When I grabbed somewhere I grabbed, I don't think at a bookstore, maybe an LSAT practice exam. I timed myself, took it real quick, did okay. I'm like, that doesn't seem that hard. Took the LSAT, got into Iowa, and in-state tuition was like, I don't know, $6,000 a year or something like that. So
Yeah.
'02 graduated and got recruited to Michael Best in Milwaukee, and got married, moved here, and this is home now.
There you go. It's interesting, right? I mean, there's intelligence everywhere, whether you're, come from, working class or,
Yeah.
white shoe family, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, no, it's I think who knows how much talent and brain power is out there in the world untapped,
It's so true.
I mean, I could honestly see myself, like managing a TGI Fridays right now instead of being a lawyer. I mean, just one.
You would have been good at it. You would have
Burn.
been good at it.
I would have killed that stuff, man. Oh my goodness. I would have sold so many cheeseburgers and sugary cocktails. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with managing a TGI Fridays. I mean,
No, you would have been a district or regional manager.
right, exactly. We had the company car, a lot of pieces of flair.
Oh man, that's an interesting story. I'm trying to think now. At least, I mean, I hear the story often, particularly when you go the entrepreneurial route. There's something about sort of coming from relatively modest beginnings to, starting your own firm, taking that path. It's almost like a recipe for success, I think.
Yeah, I do think there is something to just having the shit kicked out of you a little bit. And I certainly, at least for me, I don't know to speak generally, but for me, certainly, cleaning up after people at restaurants and, just doing that kind of grunt work, putting in roofs and, just doing all kinds of stupid stuff, not stupid stuff. That work is good, but, just doing hard work.
Yeah.
And kind of like, this is not for me long term. But you really value what, the hard work and what it takes to get some measure of success. And, lawyers we have a monopoly on the practice of law, tend to do really well financially. And, there's a certain amount of gratitude, I think, that I certainly have for, for where I am and where I came from. And I think looking back on some of the crazy times of Tim Hansen, my wife always teases me. She's like, "What would 19-year-old Tim Hansen say to 51-year-old Tim Hansen when you're at a
There you go.
like last
Excellent
night we were at a
question.
Portuguese wine dinner, drinking sparkling indigenous varieties from Portugal, and being a cork sniffer idiot. She's looking at me like, you are such a fancy pants now. What happened to the guy and tearing shingles off of roofs in Durango or whatever the hell, or like waiting tables at Country Kitchen.
It's the American dream right there. I mean, that's
I
good
mean, I
stuff.
really believe I feel like I'm living it. Like, it's awesome.
So just let's reverse that. So what would you tell somebody that was considering to become a lawyer today?
I loved it. I loved law school. I love the people I went to law school with. I mean, it really did completely. I think like a lawyer. I did not think like a lawyer before law school. I came out of law school thinking like a lawyer. And I think that analytical rigor, that the type of study that you do, reading cases. Some people are critical of it because it doesn't really prepare you to be a lawyer. It prepares you to think like a lawyer. It doesn't really teach you the law. But I think the intellectual rigor of just the discipline of walking through the issues and coming to a conclusion is really, really valuable, even if you're never going to practice law. I have a lot of friends from law school that are really successful who never really used their JD for law, but I have to believe that it was, significantly influential on their success because at least in my experience, it tweaks your brain chemistry and you just act differently, you think differently. So I would absolutely do it, but I do think, you want to go into it eyes wide open. Most lawyers don't come out and, make millions of dollars. I haven't looked recently at what the average law grad, median salary is, but the white shoe, silk stocking law firm deals and the super high rolling plaintiff's lawyer stuff, those are 1%ers, not necessarily graduated in the top 1%, but they found a way to become incredibly successful using, the law. That doesn't happen to everybody. Most people kind of ham and eggers working,
the long tail.
Doing law stuff and living a good life, and it's fine. So I would say, don't go thinking you're going to get rich. Go because you really are interested in I think an actually unique path. I mean, there's really no other world that gives you the kind of education that law school does. But a lot of people hate it. A lot of people are just like, this is messed up. I hate law. Hate law school. It's dumb, boring, and stressful.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, you got to find your fit. I mean, ultimately, everybody's you hope you do. You find the place where you love and you're comfortable, then it's fun, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you work way too many hours and you get too invested in people and cases to hate it. If you hated it, oh my gosh, you got to get out. I mean, go do something else. I mean, for goodness sake, because you're gonna live it. If you're doing it right, if you're doing it the way you're supposed to be doing it, and you're committed to your client and the right outcomes, you are gonna have to put a lot of time and energy into it. And if you're not enjoying it, at least most of the time, you should find another thing to do.
Yeah. How'd you find litigation? How'd you get into that?
I just had really a layperson's view of the law. When I imagined lawyers, I just imagined TV lawyers. When we started the law firm, I rewatched all of the old Ally McBeal episodes. And I'm a little embarrassed to admit how much some of those TV shows influence the way we run the firm and the
really.
Oh yeah,
interesting.
We have, just like LA Law and Ally McBeal, we have an all hands meeting every Monday morning, where
that's good.
All the lawyers sit here at 8:30 in the morning, and all the other offices call in, and it's a 30-minute get together where we kind of run through how's the workloads, any big filings, anything we need to know about, anything big coming up, anybody need help, and then are there any substantive questions, anybody dealing with something, because you got all these smart people, tons of experience, all kinds of different law backgrounds. Are you trying to get a judgment domesticated in another state? They're like, oh, I just did that a couple of weeks ago. Call me after the meeting. I'll help you out. And so, but the only reason we thought to do that is because they did it on LA Law and LA. So it ends up being a great thing for us, and it actually helps the clients too. Because I mean, obviously, we're not going to bill for any of that stuff. So, whereas that lawyer who was trying to figure out how to, do X thing that they hadn't done before, instead of spending 4 hours researching it and figuring it out and calling around, in 2 minutes, somebody down the hall was like, I know exactly how to do it. I just did it. Come see me.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I mean, listen, the whole morning meeting stand up is a great concept. Gets people together, share information. I mean, to me, it's all about sharing, right? Knowledge. That's good stuff.
Also, yeah, it is. And it also, I think, the whole, in the last few years, doing so many things virtually, we were very fortunate that, we reopened on a voluntary basis in June of 2020. So we got shut down for a couple of months and then, felt pretty safe reopening. And so we've been.
Oh, really? You were back in the office? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And it was voluntary, but every single person came back immediately.
Wow.
So, yeah. And we never had any, as far as we know, we never had any intra-office transmission of COVID. A couple people got it out in the world, of course.
Sure.
But for whatever, maybe it's more luck than anything. They figured it out before they came in and infected everybody. So we were very lucky. But that Monday morning meeting being in person and just being around people in the office, I think especially for a litigation practice is really good, because I remember sitting out we have kind of a big, I'm pointing over to this general direction because we have a big kind of open area, community area. And a couple of us were talking about some issue. I don't remember what it was. And neither of us knew the answer. And our buddy Mike in the other office overheard us talking. He comes out, he's like, hey, you talking about the subpoena thing? Well, I'm like, yeah. He's like, I just dealt with this. Here's the answer. That never would have happened if we were on Zoom.
Absolutely.
Just the organic stuff that occurs when you're together, it just, to me, makes a really big difference. Plus, it's just much more pleasant. I mean, this is great talking to you on Zoom.
No, I get it. I totally get it.
I think, that's not the way we were meant to coexist with our fellow humans.
I agree. I think we're going back to the office. I mean, there'll be a little bit of flexibility there with virtual work, but you're right. People want to be together. We're social animals.
Yeah.
And all that organic stuff that you're talking about is key.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And you guys leverage technology. I mean, it sounds like you prefer being in person, but I mean, what other technology you're leveraging for the firm?
Yeah, so again, at the time we started in 2010, 2011, it was an interesting time. The barriers to entry were so low. I think even had we started 5 years earlier, I think it would have been difficult. But everything we had from day one was cloud-based. We've never had a physical server in our space. We use Clio for practice management. We use Office 365 for email and document management.
Yep.
It's all encrypted stuff and safe, and and I don't deal with it directly anymore, but so it was relatively inexpensive. It's usually just a license on a per seat or per user basis. So it was not cost prohibitive for a new firm to gain access to these, really sophisticated platforms. And then with like document review, I remember at the old firm, you had to pay incredible amounts of money for pretty clunky review platforms and electronic document storage platforms. And now there's a million vendors. It's still not inexpensive, but you buy it on a case by case basis. And, you figure out how the expenses are going to be worked out with the client. And the review platforms are really good, I find. So, all that stuff was right there for us when we started the firm. And so we were kind of, and so when COVID did hit, it was seamless for us. Because our whole practice is in our laptop or our phone or tablet, from anywhere in the world. So it sucked being, stuck at home with 4 kids running around doing virtual school at the same time. But from accessing the material and communicating and collaborating, it was, we'd been doing it for a decade.
Got it.
So that's probably the big one. And I do like apps like TrialPad, and there's all kinds of, and I don't even know if I probably even have the latest and greatest stuff, but it just seems like there's so many tools, and the interfaces are so much more intuitive and less clunky, and getting more and more elegant and refined. And we try to take advantage of everything we can.
Oh, good. Yeah, well, listen, I know a lot of the bigger firms that you came from. I mean, they have these innovation groups now, and they're constantly looking at new technology and figuring out ways to leverage it more for the
Yeah.
practice.
Well, we find too is, the vendors come to us, like the new stuff comes to us. You don't always have to seek it out, because
Yeah,
the vendors have a vested interest in trying to get their products out there and get
absolutely.
intros, and and oftentimes, I mean, we'll have them like, why don't you come and do an hour-long CLE luncheon?
Oh, you guys are open to that? That's good.
Oh yeah, so
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have upstairs in our office, we have a 30-person stadium seating, like auditorium conference
Oh, nice.
room.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use it for CLE presentations, but we also use it for like mock trials and mock oral arguments. We can reconfigure the tables into whatever scenario we want. So that's been great. But it's nice because we can get the whole firm up there. We can have presenters. So the vendors are happy to come, give you an hour long, oftentimes with CLE credit, and they usually buy you a sandwich or something. So you learn an incredible amount about, I mean, the most recent thing I feel like technology wise that we looked at was, just obtaining information from different devices.
Yeah.
How to acquire, text messages, social media, vestiges, things like that. So yeah, it doesn't seem like there's as much pressure to like commit to a long-term piece of technology. So much of it is, SAS or app based.
Well, it's all on demand now. Yeah. So yep.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, it's sort of the Uber model for everything now. It's like, when I want it, I push a button and it shows up, and it's the latest and greatest, and I don't have to commit a lot of resources or long-term relationship energy to something that might be obsolete in a year.
Absolutely.
Always, so yeah, for us, it's worked out really well. And like I say, it tends to just come to us.
Absolutely. They come into you. They got to sell something.
That's right, man. Everybody's got.
Yeah, but some people aren't open to it. I mean, I always say, listen, if you have a business, I think it's in your best interest, and you almost have a duty to continue looking at your tools, right? I mean, you want to make sure you run your businesses effectively.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's sort of obviously snake oil, we're always open to it.
Yeah.
I don't see any, and we've benefited from when we've agreed to listen. It's probably a 50-50. It's probably batting 500 on, then doing some kind of work with the vendor who came and presented.
Oh, you're an easy sale. Jeez, I'm gonna call you
yeah, I probably shouldn't say that. Well, it's just that we're unlike a lot of the bigger, more bureaucratically encumbered organizations. It's just me and Toby, and we figure it out and make decisions quickly. And the only ones really that don't work out, are sort of it's almost always a personality thing where the vendor or the sales rep is, you just get a vibe that, if this is so great, why are you selling it this way?
Right.
They're using the old stereotypical car salesman tactics, like, well, let me overcome this objection, and perhaps I should ask my manager for further discounts. And,
oh boy, like, that's really old school stuff.
Yeah, it's just that's such a huge turnoff. If it's a technology related legal services product, you're probably pretty geeked out about it, and you're excited about it as the person repping it and dealing with it, and we get as geeky. I mean, we were super geeked out several years ago on technology assisted review and artificial intelligence for document review stuff. And, we went down, me and one of our partners in Madison is a complete lunatic on stuff. And we studied it, and, we knew as much as anybody trying to sell us the stuff. But it all started with somebody coming to us and saying, hey, I've got this thing. It's new. You want to hear about it? And now it's, part of the DNA of the firm.
Excellent. That's excellent. Good. Well, listen, I'll wrap it up here. I don't want to keep you too much longer. I mean, just final words that you want people to know about you and your firm, and the best way to connect.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I mean, I would say, you know, I like to be kind of a hub guy, you know. A lot of times I don't even take the work, but I love talking to people. So, you know, I would say just call us, you know, give me a buzz, shoot me an email. If you got a case, a lot of times, you know, we sort of take a look at where cases are mid litigation, you know, and do an analysis, or like, God, and call, even if you don't call me, call some lawyer early on when there's something brewing, because you know, we can oftentimes start engineering, you know, maximizing optimal outcomes if you can get us in early before a lawsuit gets filed. You know, there are lots of things we can do to counsel people, help folks. But yeah, do you want my, you know, should I throw out
Sure, whatever.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
my office line is 414-273-8473. Throwing it out there to the universe, give me a call.
There you go. There you go.
Email is T like Tim, that's me, Hansen, last name Hansen at hansenreynolds.com. And then the website is hansenreynolds.com. So check us out. We're around.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, listen, it's been my pleasure. For everybody, again, this is Tim Hansen from the law firm Hansen Reynolds in, well, I guess the Midwest, not just Milwaukee anymore.
Yeah, we're everywhere, man. You can't hide.
Good stuff.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, and this is sponsored by EmotionTrac, and we are another legal tech vendor, and we help litigators with case prep, whether you're going to mediation or trial. We have a platform that allows you to gather insights totally virtual in a digital format. So, all right. Well, listen, thanks again, Tim. It's been
you bet. Really good talking with you. Take care.